real estate. Flipping keys, no way. Eating good, I got a lot on my plate. But this is what I wanted, so I can't complain.
The Minority Reports Podcast, where we keep it real. Estate and entrepreneurship education for the minority of 3% action takers. Here's your host, Billy the Kid, and co-host, Dan Delgado.
Where's the vibrato coming from? Just like I noticed last time too. You did the same thing.
I don't know. I'm getting angrier now.
Yeah, man, dude. We don't need that angry.
Too much force on this.
Yeah.
I gotta slow my
on
horn
the horn.
down.
Yeah, man. You gotta hold it back.
Go back to horn 101. Learn. How was your week, man?
Not bad, man. I kind of took it easy last week. I didn't have a ton going on.
Yeah.
But
we went to South Omaha. That was fun,
man. Yeah. We took our families to South Omaha to like the plaza. Is that what it's called?
Yep. South 24th Street. That, like I told you, that whole street, man, it reminds me of like the whole my whole music stuff. Like I've done great stuff there. Everybody has showed love.
Oh, that's right. So we were at what would you call it? Like a farmer's market, swap meet type thing? I don't know what you would call it.
It reminds me of a small swap meet.
So it's like an outdoor shopping type little thing. And this dude's looking at like, what are you, tools or something you were looking at? He was looking at power tools and like someone recognized you from your music.
Yeah, somebody said, hey.
He was like blushing. That was freaking hilarious. Like, he's like, did you see that? I'm like, no, Billy, I did not see that.
Walked away. I'm like, dang it. No.
And then I learned too that Billy is an horchata connoisseur.
Man, yeah.
Jeez,
No, for sure.
I don't know how much you had that day, but you're like,
I had like 4 of them, 3 of them.
But you had like every type that you could find. You're like, oh, look, they have strawberry. Oh, I was like, all right.
But you were right there too. You're like, yeah, let me taste it.
No, it was good though.
No, yeah, that was fun. It had been a while, and like I said, now we're gonna have to make it to Cinco de Mayo. They do a big parade out there, so that'll be fun. But yeah, no, that and what's crazy is that little swap meet area is pretty new.
Really?
You know, back a few years ago, they didn't have that. They always had like the shops. You know, they would put their stores stuff outside and how they had music blaring. But anyways, it was a good time.
It was cool seeing that because like it reminded me of like being back in Brooklyn. So like when I lived in East New York, and so I mean it was maybe we walked everywhere, but like it was maybe like a 30-minute walk from where we lived. But there was a area called like City Line, I think is what they called it, and it was just like this. I don't know how long would you say that strip is that we were at? Like maybe 2 miles. Or a mile and a half, 2 miles. I don't know, but it's a good long strip. But like it's got just all these like Hispanic stores and little shops and stuff, and like mom and pop spots.
Yeah, one the food too. Like
there's like so much food like everywhere you go. But it just reminded me of that, and then it's funny because my daughter's been there too, and she just loved it, and it just reminded her of that too. But
it was a good time. That was fun. I actually got my cover done for my book, man. So I just showed it to you. If you could give me some feedback without giving away too much. It's aight.
Yeah. No, it looks really good, man. I'm proud of you, man.
Thanks,
you really
you
knocked that out like it's not nobody's business.
I did too. Like I was telling you, I'm on chapter 9 now. I'm gonna do 10 chapters. So that last one, it'll probably just be a sum up of everything, basically, and kind of how I put it together. So it shouldn't be too hard, but I'm already looking at printing and stuff, and for sure I'm going to look into publishing too. But for sure, before I do any publishing, I'm going to get it, just do it DIY, kind of how I've done everything. It's always worked out for me that way. So I actually posted today that I'm doing like pre-sales already.
Well, shouldn't you get like some kind of like legal advice on that too, like
on the
for your
publishing, or
for it's like intellectual property type thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I could give you more info.
Maybe you don't want to
because I've done
that.
it with my music and stuff too.
I guess that's true. Yeah,
and it's crazy how easy that is. Even you know, it doesn't cost much either. There's a few different routes that you could do it, but yeah, for sure. But yeah, no, I'm excited. Hopefully here soon we'll give you guys more updates on the book, and
you should record the audiobook, man.
Yeah, I am. Actually, really? I might have you do that.
Okay.
He's like, I don't know if you can afford it.
I'll use my sexy deep voice.
There you go. But talking about books, man, what do you got going on today? What
we got this week. I haven't read it for a while, so I hope if anyone out there has read it, they'll excuse me. But it's So Good They Can't Ignore You by Cal Newport. The biggest thing, and I'll keep it really short, the biggest thing that I've taken from this book is how he conceptualizes being so good at things. Like, for example, he talks about how people will like try to find their passion or try to find what it is that that makes them just want to wake up in the morning. And, there's that term that, if you love what you do, you won't work a day in your life. So people will try to go out and find this thing that they do so well. And they just enjoy every minute of it, and they just become masters at it. And it's just the easiest thing in the world. And he kind of just like, no, that's all bullshit. He's like, basically, if you want to be the best at something, you don't have to enjoy it. You don't have to like it. He's like, but if you put all your effort into it, you're going to be the best in it, and you're going to be able. So he kind of applies it into like the 9-to-5 type setting. So like for me, working in IT, I don't particularly like working with computers. Being in leadership, I enjoy the management part and the development part of that. But I don't enjoy the computer part of it at all. And so the thing is, he talks about, but if you get so good in that field, you're able to command whatever sort of pay you want, whatever sort of compensation you want. And I feel like, going from my job now to the one I had before, I was able to develop my leadership skills and my management skills, my communication skills, and kind of sprinkle in a little bit of IT in there just to kind of be dangerous enough to get work done. But that has, after reading that book, like it just kind of showed me how you don't necessarily have to find your passion. If, let's say you're doing something right now that you don't even really enjoy, get so good at it though, that like nobody can take that away from you. And then now you're so good at that, and now you can go to the next thing and nobody's even going to question it because you've gotten so good at that deal that you're doing now. So that's the gist of the book. And so good they can't ignore you. And obviously you can do that at so many different levels, and with anything you're doing.
I've always been a believer too that the hustle beats talent, no matter what. Like, even
sure.
Even this book right now, like, and not just that, but everything I've ever done, music and everything. It's like, I'm not the best rapper, but I'll hustle. I actually know a lot of artists that can sing their ass off, right? Like they can sing, man. Like, I can see them competing with some big names out there, but their hustle's not there.
Right.
They want everything done for them, handed. And,
I think a lot of people do rely on talent alone. But that's basically the gist of the book. He's pretty much saying, like, don't just rely on talent, rely on that hustle and work your ass off to get to the top of what you're trying to do.
I also, real quick, it made me think of the podcast that you sent me, GC. I finished that today, and that was pretty good, man.
Yeah, that was another one talking about being
because it kind of goes with that, like basically stand
like
out
how to get noticed in a noisy world. So it's a lot of the same themes. Yeah, you're right. But that's what we got.
All right, well, who do we have today?
We have.
All right, let's bring her in.
No, we're not doing it. No, we've got Renee Sobotka. She is an entrepreneur out of Lincoln, Nebraska, and I love her story. And I'm just going to keep talking because you keep trying to interrupt me.
All right,
no, dude, you got to go back to school.
I overdid that one.
Yeah, bro, you're trying way too hard.
You're also, there you go. We'll use that one instead.
Did it, yeah.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Good. Yeah. So thanks for having us here. It's definitely we're excited. We've been talking about this subject for a while together, but so I always like to take it back with our guest. I would like to hear your story. Where are you from? Where were you born? And how'd you end up here in Lincoln?
Well, real quick before that, can you tell us where we're at?
Yeah,
what are we doing here?
Right.
Jeez, like this guy's never done a podcast.
Just the sign is right there. So I'm like, all right.
We're at True North Technologies, and our offices are in the Southeast Community College Focus Suites, some co-working space here in Lincoln. So,
and what do you guys do?
We are digital marketers, so we can do anything from website and app development to search engine optimization or online advertising. So.
That's that
we'll take
elusive SEO that people talk about. Nice.
Yeah, elusive SEO.
It's funny because I always hear people talk about that, and I feel like half the time they don't know what the hell they're like talking about.
Yeah, it's kind of this mythical creature of like the almighty Google.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
That's amazing. But if you could tell us your background real quick, where are you from, and if you're not from Lincoln, how'd you end up here?
Yeah, well, I am originally from West Point, Nebraska, and graduated from there and went to the university here in Lincoln. So pretty much have lived in Lincoln ever since graduating. But I did spend 1 year in Omaha. I was an internal auditor at Union Pacific. So then I also did like a lot of financial reporting and accounting at banks here in Lincoln. So I have 2 kids, and I have 9 employees and a lot of other things to take care of. 2 dogs.
Yeah.
And before we started recording, you started talking about like how your morning started today.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that real quick? Because I was like, damn, that was a lot.
Yeah, no. So today was a good day. I don't always follow the routine really perfectly, but I made my bed. I let the dogs out, read Daily Stoic, read my devotional, made my coffee, did yoga, showered, did cold shower.
Oh, you do a cold shower
exercise.
too.
I left out. I stopped after.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you did everything today.
like I did it all. Yeah.
have a great day going.
Yeah.
And
So
what
it's
time
been
did
really
you start
good.
this?
6.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot to get done. And
Yeah.
that's awesome.
I've had a great day.
How did you put those things together?
It's advice from different people like that I've met over the years. I think the making your bed thing was from 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. But cold showers from a friend of mine.
What does that do for you? Because I've heard about that too.
I actually wrote that about that on my
really
book.
wakes you up. Yeah. So you're kind of like in your zone in the morning, you nice warm shower, and like you get out and then you're cold and then you just want to go crawl back in bed. This just kind of wakes you up, and then like getting out of the shower is not such like a uncomfortable experience, and more about just like alivening the cells.
And there's some science to it too. And even look at athletes, with the ice,
the ice baths are a little different, right?
All that kind of goes together,
Right.
So
I think there was a Marine that wrote a book about just like mental toughness, and I want to say he put that in there too about not even so much as like waking yourself up, but like making yourself as uncomfortable as often as possible. And so he just like these ice cold showers, and they're like long showers. Like, cause I've tried it before. I'm like, okay, like 30 seconds, I'm done. I'm out.
Turn up
that sounds
cool.
like something like the Stoics would talk about,
right?
Because you're not really always going to have everything perfect, so you're preparing yourself every day for the days that are terrible, right? Like the principles of the Daily Stoic is wisdom, temperance, justice, and
that's okay.
I can't think of the third one. Courage. It's courage.
There you go.
Yeah, it's courage. So, I mean, everybody goes through things in life, but if you're constantly preparing yourself for bettering yourself in those 4 areas, like you can really make a big difference.
And I think once you start doing that, it's like you start playing life in offense. And I always stress that to anybody that I care about. It's like play life in offense, never defense. Because once you start falling behind, and that's with anything, with family, financially, mentally, like it's harder to play when you're on defense. It's one of those where it's like, how about you take care of your body now, so then a lot of diseases won't happen to you. But once they happen, it's a lot harder to, but
that's great advice for so many things in life.
Just being proactive,
one.
I guess.
Yeah,
exactly.
So I cut you off, sorry, there when you were talking about I think you ended it at the dogs.
Yeah.
So was that like that? So was that every step in your morning today, or was there more that we missed?
Oh, it was pretty good. And then just like getting ready. Well, also not looking at my phone. Like that derails the routine sometimes. So just shutting the alarm off and not looking at it. So I was successful in that today. So I got to do all the check boxes.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Love it.
and it feels good. But not every day's perfect. So you got to give yourself grace too.
For sure. Love it.
Yeah.
And then I always like to, when we're in your past here, what was the time that you could remember that that seed was planted for entrepreneurship, or what? And also to go along, like, was it something that your parents did, or your grandparents, or how did you run into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I come from a long line of entrepreneurs, honestly. I'm from a small town, West Point. It's not all that small. It has pretty thriving community still. But everybody's a small business owner there. Whether you're a farmer, you work at the grocery store, my dad was a builder. They also owned the lumber yard in West Point. So my mom managed that. All my aunts and uncles have their own business, like a rental company, a automotive parts company, pharmacy.
Wow, you weren't kidding.
Yeah, everybody owns their own business. Like, it's like, that's just what you do, right? And you join the chamber and you just do all the things. So kind of growing up in a small town, I think that's really what inspired me. But I didn't really do anything about it. Like I said, I was doing all these other financial reporting jobs that, you know, I'm sitting at a desk, like working on some report that nobody cares about and not getting to go into any meetings and be with people. And that's really, you know, something that I love to do. But when my dad...
How'd you end up doing those jobs? Like,
yeah. So it was mainly, I have a finance degree, so just kind of a natural fit for some of those accounting kind of jobs. But I am a numbers person, but this role is like so much more fit to like my personality.
Yeah.
It like fills up my cup a lot more. So
did your family give you any crap for doing something like work like that when you came from a line of entrepreneurs?
No, I think they kind of assumed that I would just always do something in like the finance field. I think they saw me working my way up in a larger company and maybe being the head or like CFO or something like that. And that's what I always envisioned for myself. I really did always see myself as being a CEO. But I never really truly thought about doing it for myself, like creating my own company until my dad died. So I was back at home and hearing all the stories about how great he was at his craft and just all the ways he gave back to the community. And I just was like overwhelmed by what an impact he had made. And then, you know, the week goes by and you go back to your normal life. And I just couldn't imagine sitting at that desk anymore, writing reports that nobody cared about. It just didn't feel good anymore. So it was kind of that tipping point for me, really, just to start thinking about like, well, if this isn't what you want to do, then you need to start making some changes. What are those changes going to be? So one thing that I did was I just set myself a goal that I was going to work for myself by the time I was 40. And I made like an Outlook calendar reminder pop up every day. So you had to like physically dismiss it. And so if there's something really big that it's just a thought right now, like just writing it down, like typing it into a computer, doing that dismiss every day, it really does sort of change your mindset. So it's like, you know, every day if you do one thing, moving yourself towards that goal, you know, inevitably you should accomplish it, right? And I didn't know what I was going to do, but, you know, you just start looking at opportunities differently. And that kind of leads right into how I got into real estate. So.
Wow. There's a lot of nuggets in there.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to miss out on any of the good stuff.
So one thing that popped in my head was with your father. And I'm big with my daughters. I know Dan is, you know, we try to talk to our daughters and put them on game. And, you know, I know they're listening, but are they, right? Like there's always that. Yeah. So if you take yourself back, like, to that moment, like, did that work? Like, or how was that relationship like with your father? Like, you know, what are some of the stuff that you remember being little to, you know, that helped you?
I have tons of memories of like working with my dad, just watching him work on our house. So he would build a house, we would move into the basement, and then he would finish the rest of the house. We'd move upstairs. He'd start the next house. We'd move into that basement. My mom is literally a saint because she moved, I don't know how many times. You know how hard that is with a family. And it was just a constant thing. He was just constantly working on those houses, even, you know, on the weekends. So, you know, I was either pushing a broom or watching him solder something or just mixing cement. I mean, he did everything. Like, it's not like today where you have a sub for every single thing. He did it all. Like, it's fascinating now looking back on it, but those are some of my absolute favorite pictures with my dad. I'm like watching him like put a bed together or something, you know, because that's all I remember doing. It's also how I remember learning to cook. I don't really use recipes. I just watched my mom cook. I just sat on the counter and watched. So you can really pick up a lot of stuff just by watching, like, and then with, you know, that goes further into your life and you're able to like do little fix-it jobs around the house because, I mean, you just kind of know how to do it.
With you saying that, like, with you learning that way, and clearly that comes natural to you to learn that way. Yeah. Having that job where you're just doing like reporting all day must have been just torture for you,
right?
Because
and then
you're so used to
be in that experience of being the daughter at the funeral. I was like, yeah, okay, a paycheck shows up in my account every 2 weeks and I do the things, but this is teaching my kids nothing. Like I'm teaching them nothing by doing this job right now. It's just a job. Anybody can do this job, but I want to do something that, nobody else can say they did. And I want my kids to remember that. I'm definitely like sacrificing some time with them and going to some of their activities or, just time in general with them. But I see their faces. I see them watching. I know that it's making a difference. And like, I'm creating a little entrepreneur in my daughter. I can just see it in her. She's got a lot of my same personality, that competitive spirit. And that's really like meaningful to me because it was like only 2.5 years ago that I just started this company.
Oh, wow.
But, my dad's been gone for just 4 years now. So really you can make a big life change in 4 years. So I think that's a takeaway for sure.
I would love to touch a little bit too, since you were surrounded with so many great entrepreneurs when you were growing up. What are some of the stuff that you picked up, at that time when you were younger?
I kind of have to give my mom another credit here because I honestly don't know if I really respected my mom for what she was doing. She was running a company and also doing the books for my dad's construction business. And then it just seemed like she was just free to go do whatever she wanted. She could always be at my field trips and go to my sporting events and go to Omaha shopping. And it seemed like, does she ever work?
Right.
And it's so funny because I'm eating my words, my mental words. I never said this to her, thank goodness. But I see that now. I see how it can appear like you're just, enjoying life, living the high life, going and doing whatever you want. But there's so much work that goes on behind the scenes that nobody knows about.
It's probably even more work to make it look easy.
Yeah.
Right? That's the thing.
Yeah, and to never have really had them, freaking out about finances. I'm sure they freaked out about finances all the time, right? But they just had a great way of like, handling those things as a team. And I learned a lot by the way they interacted with each other. And life isn't hard. It's going to throw you curveballs, but it's all about the way that you handle the situation, right? So I don't know if that answered your question.
No, for sure. And you mentioned real estate. So how'd you what?
Yeah.
So before you started your company, you got into real estate?
Yes.
If you could touch on that a little bit.
Yeah. So
I heard real estate. I'm like,
I know. I was like, you got it. Yeah.
I know. I love talking real estate. Let's do this. So I was looking for what am I going to do for this? What am I going to do working for myself? And just a personal situation. My boyfriend's family needed to sell the duplex that his parents owned. And they had kind of waited around a little bit last minute, and they were kind of doing like a fire sale, it seemed like to me. And I just looked at him and was like, well, I just can't watch you sell it for that price. Like, would you let me buy it? And they did, and they gave me a great deal on it. So, of course, it's like this cream puff first opportunity at being a landlord, and everything's going great, and so you're like, I love this business model. You're addicted like that, right? So I start going to real estate meetings and I start learning more about the Burr method, and I'm like, I got to get more properties. This is what I want to do. I want to do this. This is what I want to run, this kind of company. So I bought another duplex and, had the traditional ups and downs of remodeling and getting good tenants and evicting people and all of the things, it's like, oh, what have I gotten myself into? And the glamour has worn off. And
do you have any horror stories? I'm sure you do. But
for sure. Like this one couple
mine.
that they didn't even really have a signed lease, and I got these inherited tenants, and they were not in a good space because they were fighting a ton, getting constant calls from the police. And then when I did have to evict them, they left every TV in the house, but they were all punched in. So there was holes in the wall, holes in the TVs, holes. I mean,
because it's your fault that they have all these problems.
Yeah. So it was just okay, we're just gonna have to gut this whole place. It's gorgeous now, but it was not fun to walk into.
So you said now, so you still own these places?
I still
How
own
many
both of
doors
those.
do you own, if you don't mind me asking that?
I'm at 20 right now, but
oh, wow.
it was a good market. I had 43 units. So
oh, okay. What happened there?
I sold like half of them this year just because the market was so good.
Oh, okay.
Time to kind of capitalize on some of those gains. I had held them for over a year, so no long-term no short-term game. So yeah, now I have 4 duplexes and a 12-plex, and they're the ones that were performing better. And I'm always looking for properties, I guess, but.
So it's definitely something you're gonna keep going. Yeah.
Do you self-manage those, or?
I don't. I have property managers. Arrow Capital is great. So if you're looking for somebody in Lincoln, I recommend them.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did you do it at the beginning though?
So I fell into working with Arrow because I was buying properties that they managed already.
Okay.
And so it was actually a group of 19 units, and they were like, "So who's gonna manage this for you? If you don't mind us asking." And I was like, "Me?" Question mark. But I had already started True North Technologies and was really trying to like get out there and network and meet people and have business meetings. And I didn't have time to manage 19 properties. I was starting to run into those issues with the duplex and having to collect rent. And it's not like super glamorous.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was stressful for me. And I found that I was like, well, maybe it'd be best if you guys took over management. And so then, and they did a great job. So I slowly gave them the rest of my properties, except for my first one, because it's kind of my baby. So I sort of have like I feel a little bit like a property manager. It's like a token amount of property management.
Keep your street credit for property management.
Yeah. So it's just it's been crazy because I really did want to like work for myself and just do real estate. But I also knew that whatever capital you could pull out of that, you're probably going to reinvest. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to really live off of that. So I had to, keep thinking like, what else am I going to do?
And you were still working a day job while doing all this,
right? Full-time day job with the 2 duplexes, and really just wanting to like figure out something that I didn't need to have a brick and mortar, didn't need employees, could just sort of do alongside growing my real estate business. I found this software where you could develop apps, and it wasn't going to take like a lot of coding.
Isn't that crazy? Like a software that makes software?
Yeah, it is. It's fascinating to me. Yeah. So I look into this, and I think that's, such a great thing to bring to business owners, making it more attainable, more affordable. Traditionally app development is really expensive. So I thought that was a great business model, something that I could do, by myself. I didn't need a lot of extra employees. So I just didn't feel right quitting a full-time job for just being a landlord of 2 duplexes with the intent of growing it. So I guess I'm an overachiever and decided to start another company. And here we are today. So
yeah, no, and what I love about your story, and you literally took calculated risks, which is like a huge thing. I'm big on pushing people, take that risk, do it, jump, right? But you have to calculate, and that's what I love about your story, is that you definitely did that to get to that next point. So as of right now, so you sold half of your portfolio basically.
So right away after I quit my full-time job, I got a bunch of properties, got them under management, kind of had that rolling. Then it was time to really focus on True North. So that was about August of 2019. And I had already hired 1 employee. I hired Dylan, and he was part-time, and he was working on helping me with building the apps. So I could focus more on sales and meeting people. So just slowly but surely, I realized people also wanted websites. So, we started website development, and then the pandemic happened, and I just did like a deep dive into search engine optimization and realized, this is really what my customers are going to need, to pair with their website so they can be found. And had all the time in the world just to dive in and work every day. So
That's amazing. Yeah.
yeah. So it was kind of like one thing sort of led to another. And by offering those other services to our clients, you know, I've slowly but surely been able to add employees along the way. And it's been a wild ride. Definitely, I've learned a lot about how to manage people. You know, I'm still taking my...
Did you manage people before this?
I have managed a few people before, but that was back when I was at Union Pacific. So it's been a long time. So it's been a learning curve. Definitely, you know, just balancing everything with the two companies, and then, you know, making sure my employees are taken care of, and just all the little things. So
how did you come up with even like the idea? Like, did it come to you, or did you go out and find it, or how did that happen?
I was searching for franchises because I thought, you know, maybe that would be an sort of an easy way, like a business in a box, so to speak, you know, like just kind of unwrap the bow and just, it's already set up for you. You know, there's already a process. And this was actually, I don't know if it's really a franchise situation, but it came up through that searching that you could buy the license for this software, and they would help you with some, you know, sales training, and they gave you some promotional materials and a website. So it was sort of like a business in a box. And I was able to just start talking to people about the product, as opposed to, you know, starting with my brand and I got to have something to give these people, you know? Right. So it was nice that it wasn't starting from scratch, but I understand now what it's like for businesses, you know, when they are starting a company, you need a great brand strategy. You need a logo, you need a website. I mean, these are the same thing as putting a sign outside your door back in 1950, you know, like without a website, you don't exist. So, you know, I like educating people on how to claim their Google My Business page. And I love working with new business owners because I've been there. I know how hard it is. I know how overwhelmed they are, and they need help. They need help marketing their company. So that's where we come in. And I love talking to business owners. They're just the best people. They're so motivated.
Till the reality
what
sets
they
in
do.
like a year later.
Yeah.
Like,
they are just so passionate about everything, you know? So it's absolutely just a complete turn of events in my life, going from sitting at a computer, making reports, to sitting and talking with business owners and cool people like you guys.
And I was going to say that, and that's what it made me think of.
Yeah,
Our
it's
podcast.
opened up so many doors.
This is how we love having these conversations with awesome people like you.
I think what's cool about what you're doing too is, I'm sure that as you're, like you said, you love helping these business owners, and I'm sure as you're helping them, you're also learning for your own business.
Yeah.
And because I feel like that's what, like when I help people with like real estate stuff, they have questions or whatever, or what I'm doing, I feel like the more I help other people, the more I learn. And so, like,
the more you're able to talk about it, you're almost educating yourself so that, like, you know, we actually could fine tune what we're doing here, you know, like, and it's just a constantly changing environment, you know, technology in general and marketing online. So we're always learning new things, and being able to bring that new technology to our customers is really important to me. Which is kind of why I named it True North Technologies. But I think you guys will like the story of
I was just going to ask,
it.
Yeah.
So I was going through a divorce, and a friend of mine gave me an article that she had read about, you know, if you just make all of your choices in your life, you know, based on your values, inevitably you'll write your course. Like, if you feel like you've fallen off track, like you're not following your true north, just make all your decisions based on your values, and then you will be on your path to your true north. So I spent a lot of time thinking about what I valued, and it was a rough time in my life. I was off course, going through a divorce, and just a lot of transition. And I think that was also sort of the beginning of me making a lot of changes in my life. And my dad passing was like that last thing, but I was making a lot of those small changes in my life already. And so I just think everybody out there's going to go through things, you know, that they need to get back on their path.
So I love the name, the reasoning behind the name, the story. Can you provide us a little more about the culture now as a company?
Yeah. So since that is like such a passion of mine and wanting to like pass that on to my employees and their personal growth and development, we've added a lot of fun things around the office where like our all company meeting, we call that the galactic nucleus, and our offices have planet names, and like there's Pluto and Saturn and Earth, and all of my employees are called stars. And if you have a meeting with just two people, it's a binary. So we've like
I love that.
incorporated a lot of like our name and our mission, you know, so to speak. There's also just a lot of meaning in our logo too. I think a lot can be said for a story and a logo. So like the outsides of the True North logo, it's like the beginning and end of HTML code. The spot on the top is a location dropper. On the bottom is a water droplet, which represents our 7 C's of our culture. So
you sound like you know what you're doing.
You put a lot of time and a lot of thought into that. Wow.
Yeah. And then the middle is like the white space is like a compass you can see. And if you look at it like it's 2 people from above, it's like they're collaborating. And boomerang for repeat business, because that's what digital marketing should do for you, right?
Can you talk a little bit about digital marketing and how, because off camera, we were talking a little bit about how a lot of business owners know, like, I need to put more stuff on social media. I need to have more digital content. But since there isn't an immediate return on those types of investments, a lot of times people just kind of put it off more and more. And I think that's where like you come in. Yeah. Where you're like, hey, I can do that for you type thing. So like, obviously maybe speak a little bit more to the importance of that.
Yeah, I think starting with a great website is really the most important thing. Making sure that it is built with the right search engine optimization within it. But after you have that base, then that's when you want to drive people to it. So it's really important to have like a really cohesive brand across all of your platforms, whether that's, you know, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook,
Instagram,
YouTube, you know, So you want to really make sure that you have like your style, your message, your branding, you know, really down before you start like spreading yourself across different platforms. So like get really good at one platform is my recommendation. And, you know, really just try to own that platform based on your customer base, you know, and be consistent. That's like the number one thing that I can recommend to people. You know, there's a lot of little things that'll help. You know, video is always going to beat a still picture, and there's a lot of things you already know just based on the way that you are scrolling through any of those social platforms. But it's really important. Like I kind of already mentioned Google My Business, but that's a really underrated free tool for businesses that, you know, if they could continuously update that like on a weekly basis with pictures, especially pictures of people, Google will reward you in kind. So I like to say you need to play nice by Google's rules, and then they'll play nice with you. You know, inevitably you'll be going a little higher on that search result. Right. So, I mean, when's the last time you actually clicked on the second page of a Google search? Like, I would rather take the effort and type in a different search than go to the second page. Like, that's clearly really that wasn't the right thing to search for. Right. So if you're not on the first page, I mean, it is time. It's time to work on it and build that. You know,
can you just like pay Google a bunch of money and be like, hey, put me on the first page?
Well, you can. So that's paid for advertising. So a lot of this is like the organic. It does take time. It's a long game, and it's an investment in your brand and its future. But you can get some immediate gratification with a paid for ad. And, you know, we can help with that. We can be your experts. You know, you can't know what you don't know. So there's a lot of, you know, things that you need to do, like an A/B test on some of those ads just to see what gets more reaction from your customers. And is it the right customer? And, you know, having somebody to work with you along the way to tweak that stuff and just get really hyper focused on who you want to get in front of. You'll waste so much less time by getting just someone to be your advocate and do it the right way the first time. I think a lot of times people, they're like, well, I'm going to save money. I'm going to make my own website. And you can, like, at least that's, getting yourself out there. But, having someone set it up right from the beginning and get a really great message that draws in your customer, it is really worth the investment. We've seen that work out for new companies that just decide to go for it right from the beginning. And then, inevitably you're like making like a second iteration, a third iteration. You're always kind of trying to work on it. You're never really happy with it. And then you just realize you turned around and you wasted a ton of time.
Right.
So, that's what we're here for. Like, let the marketing people do the marketing and you do the thing that you love, whatever that is. So.
And with social media, since you were touching about that, what is some of the stuff that you can do to grow your, I'll call it fan base, your
presence,
your following?
Yeah, like you mentioned Instagram. I think right now, stories are really big and highlights as well. Making sure your information is accurate really helps. And then I think being first to adopt any of the trends. So if there's like a new feature that Facebook releases or anyone, try it out right away because, they're going to want to show people that feature. So your post is going to get more reach than it should normally because you're utilizing that new whatever it is that they added. So if you hear of something like that, definitely try to take advantage of it. And then, ask for people to share your page and ask for those people to give you your Google review. That's huge.
So how do you feel about, you mentioned consistency?
Yes.
How important it is with that stuff. I think that's where like Billy and I have differing views where so let's say like he wants to put some kind of video out.
Dan wants to be a public figure is what it is.
No. Because we think very differently on that kind of stuff. So like for the podcast, let's say for example, we want to put a video out. I want to make sure that I have the lighting right. I have a professional look. I like to be more cinematic with my stuff. So my idea would take longer to actually put out because I'm going to take more time making it. Whereas Billy just like, oh, here's my phone, and so I'm doing, so I'm like, so
let's do this. Yeah.
so we usually go his route because I almost dropped my mic there. We usually go his route because I do see the value in consistently putting out content. Whereas if it went my route, it'd be like once a month that we put out anything. But hey, at least it looks good. So it's like, how do you balance that for a company that's trying to get more of a presence?
Yeah, I think one thing that you can do is take that same footage and get multiple clips out of it, so that you can spread that out in a more consistent way. And I am a big fan of that candid stuff. The Facebook Lives do really, really well. So I am more on the side that it's best to get the content out there and not overly worry about the perfectionist side of things because people want real, actually. Think about, when you've gone through something, like if it's a super professional video, like if you're really evaluating someone, you're to the point where you're ready to maybe do business with them, that video might make the difference. But just in like a regular day-to-day engaging, from that standpoint, it's probably not going to do as well because it's almost too perfect. It's like our minds start shutting down. It's like next thing,
like unreachable. Is that in a word?
Yeah.
Unrelatable maybe. Or
so, there you go.
So I really think it depends on the platform. Like your content is amazing and there's a place for it, right? And it will perform better. Also, another really underutilized platform is LinkedIn. So that professional, well thought out, well scripted video is going to do a lot better on LinkedIn than it would on Facebook.
And I think with the way that I have done my stuff is like, for example, the podcast, we're going to try to make it as, the best that we can, right? The look and the audio, but people like the behind the scenes of it, right? So that's where I come in with my phone and I'm like, hey, we're over here, doing this. can you give us a little more on that? Just some tips on that.
I think anytime that you can do a post that's real about people love people.
Mm-hmm.
Just that candid shot, hanging out before doing a podcast, I think is going to do a lot better than like a quote or like anything like that. But it kind of just depends. You really kind of have to learn your audience and look at the analytics, look at what's what hit, and do more content like that. But try to have like a consistent look and feel, especially with like what you're saying with your post, so that it really sounds like your brand, and it's consistent. Like if you two have different voices and you're posting differently, then that might not feel as like easy to the consumer, right?
Yeah, that's why I just let him do all that.
Yeah,
I'm not a social
good.
media guy. Yeah. I stay out of it.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned Facebook Live, and you actually do a Facebook Live.
Yeah.
how often is it?
Every Wednesday at noon.
Okay.
We call it the Nexus.
Okay.
We named it the Nexus, and we just will highlight a local business that I've gotten to know, or if we don't have a local business that's able to come in and talk about their story, then we'll introduce one of our new employees around here or talk about something that's been going on here at the office. So they like to have a lot of fun here.
Amazing.
I like to have fun too. I'm not around as much.
Yeah. So you spend most of your time like out, like talking, networking.
Yeah.
I know you're big on golf. We talked about
I
that.
love golf. Yeah. I'm not good at golf, but I love golfing.
Be consistent and you're good at it.
Yeah.
There you go. I don't even know how to ask this because this is major, but the Forbes thing that we were talking about, if you could.
Yeah, she's like, this again.
I know, I'm like, dude, that's like
it's a humble brag.
amazing.
That's right,
Yeah, that's amazing. So congrats, first of all.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
amazing.
you.
But yeah, if you could touch a little bit more on that, and I think Dan had a couple questions on it too.
Well, yeah,
a better question than me because I was more like.
I think anyone out there, you hear Forbes, you're like, holy shit, like what'd you do,
Yeah.
I guess maybe if you can kind of explain a little bit more of making that next 1,000 list, and how has that just like catapulted your business? 'Cause I'm sure it's done really well for you guys.
It definitely has made a difference. So, being in the marketing industry, we're always looking for opportunities of ways that we can get backlinks or get recognized because that's inevitably going to be great for your brand. So you do have to apply to win the Forbes Next 1,000, and went through that process. The criteria, we definitely met all the criteria. I felt like, we got a shot at this.
Right.
Like, why not? What's the worst that happens if we don't get it, right?
Yeah.
So, you had to have like a growth during the pandemic and, X amount of this and X amount of that. And, just kind of highlighting ourselves and talking about our goals and everything. I was shocked. I was really stunned when I found out. I found out Saturday morning, and it was in the paper like on Monday. I had only told like 2 people, and I didn't really think too much about it. And then someone texted me and congratulated me, and I was like, this is like everybody's going to know about this. So it took me like a couple days, but I was talking with my business coach about it, and she was like, that's awesome. Like, own it. She's like, that is huge. It's great for all women. Like, if you could even inspire one person to like go out and start a business, like,
well, or men. I mean, that's inspiring to us.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, I mean, that's like, she just popped up on my feed one day. I'm like, hey, let me message this.
We never knew each other until that happened. I wouldn't have met you.
Yeah.
That's why you reached out.
And that's the power of that. That's amazing.
So it's been a really wild ride and incredible experience since then, because I've had definitely my calendar's a lot more full. I have a lot more meetings now.
Doing big things like the Minority Report podcast.
Yeah.
You made it. You made it.
You made it. Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's really cool. I love seeing how that can change your business. So.
Yeah. So like, if you're able to put just like a percentage on it, like how much has your business grown because of that?
Well, I feel like it really did legitimize the company. I think my industry in particular, you'll see a lot of companies kind of come and go. But that really made it be known that like I'm here to stay. Like you can trust us, and hey, Forbes trusts us too. You know, like they've done a review of our company and they see something there. So a lot of people, that was kind of that tipping point for them, that they were like, yeah, I thought about, talking to them, but I want to do business with them, and so I'm really grateful for that. And sometimes, people in my industry also have said they were going to do something and didn't really deliver. And so a lot of people have kind of a, 50-50 on marketing companies. And so this has been a very good thing for us. I don't know percentage wise. I mean, we've definitely.
I mean, it doesn't have to be percentage, but just get an idea of
definite
how much
growth,
you guys have
like
grown.
in sales and
I love how
building
humble you are. That's one thing.
She probably would have never even brought it up if we didn't say anything.
Yeah.
No.
I love how humble you are. And can you touch on how important being humble is?
Oh yeah, it's huge. So
for success overall. Yeah,
I think inevitably, like my employees, I wouldn't have a company without them. So a lot of times whenever I get like an accolade like that, I'm super quick to just be like, my team is doing this, they see my vision and that is my part in it, but they're taking that vision and they are just out there working every day, like working super hard. So it's not really that it's like I think maybe it's somewhat how I was raised, like my parents were very humble people too, but I think genuine good people do just recognize that you didn't get there by yourself, and I definitely didn't get here by myself. I've had a lot of great mentors, people in my industry that were willing to sit down with me when I first started the company and kind of say what worked for them, what didn't work, give advice, and having great business coaches that, pushed me to do, the next thing. It's really easy to get stuck in your small spot and not grow because it's scary. It's really scary out there. So there's a lot of things I wouldn't have done had I not had, good advice from somebody or, that employee that had that next idea, or just, it's all kind of happened for a reason, I feel like. And so I'm definitely not in charge. I mean, I have a strong faith. And so I believe that God's making a lot of this happen for me. And it's great to have a platform like this to be able to talk to other entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs. And I love listening to your guys' podcast. I love hearing what everyone else is doing.
I mean, that's
yeah.
And I'm sure with you, with you doing your own Facebook Live every week, you're able to consistently put out content on there that helps inspire people. Yeah. And more specifically, I mean, I kind of get the feel that you definitely love being able to inspire other women.
Yeah.
Because I don't think
you're
that
inspired.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that like that women are typically kind of like encouraged to do things like that. So is that kind of a big focus for you? And I mean, I could totally see you like running like some kind of mastermind for like women entrepreneurs or something like that. If you're not already,
you're talking about my dreams.
Yes. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I want to get to the point where True North is functioning on its own, and I would love to mentor new up and coming women entrepreneurs that have that drive and that intensity. And it's something that I don't really look at being female that it's been like a super detriment to my career. And to be honest, probably has gotten me a couple meetings that maybe I shouldn't have had. But it is more difficult. Like when you go into a big setting with a lot of, executives, you're definitely in the minority there. And it's hard to get recognized and get that same credibility. Like I even just, talk about how like you guys look great in your tees, but if I showed up in a t-shirt at like a pretty big event, that's not going to be looked at the same. So whether or not you want to like recognize, that it does have an effect on your career or not, it's just about having the right mindset and then figuring out your way to make your path and then helping other people do it too. So I really would love to mentor other people or have a
just do it. Start it.
Yeah, I'm starting it today. Anyone want to sign up on this? Anyone out there listening?
We're gonna put your phone number on there
for women.
Yes.
I love that.
And I have an amazing business coach. She's written 2 books that I recommend. One is $1 Million Women and the other is Go Big Now.
Oh, wow.
And that Go Big Now book really speaks volumes to me. You know, I was kind of talking about those limiting beliefs that we have. Like, you kind of like almost self-sabotage yourself when you start getting to that. You're like, I've never really gone past that. Having a great coach that tells you like how to get past that ceiling is really important. So, yeah, I'd love to also write a book someday.
Yeah,
you know, and I am passionate about particularly inspiring women. I think men have a lot of people that they can look up to, probably in every industry, and, you know, kind of see how they did it multiple different ways. And it's just not always the same. It's not always true for women.
And I think representation is also super important. Like, you know, having a little girl see what you're doing now. And, you know, you had talked about working at another company, and I worked at that company at one point too.
Yeah.
And I hated it. Not so much the company, just the work was just so monotonous and boring. So maybe there's a young girl out there just working some job that she hates, and she's like, well, look, she can do it. And so, you know, and
like only 4 years ago, she decided, I want to work for myself. Literally, I just decided. I mean, it was
it's not that you just decided. You decided and then you took action. That's the biggest thing for me, because I think for me, the biggest component to being successful in what you're going to do is just taking action. And you can sit there and think about it for 10 years and make all these plans. And I think a lot of people are guilty of, like, I'm gonna start a business, so I'm gonna take a year to build a website, design a logo, make some sort of or go to pamphlets, brochures, and do all these things. Like, okay, that's great, but do something that's actually, like you said, you know, I was curious too. When you said that you had your Outlook calendar thing every day popped up, what did it say? Like, what was the verbiage?
I will work for myself by the time I'm 40.
Oh, okay.
And then,
I was wondering about that.
Do you still do something similar like that?
Well, I have like an app that does like cool daily affirmations. You know, when I was talking about that earlier, I was like, well, what's my next thing? You know, like I really should set that as my next intention. I think everyone kind of sets a goal for the year, but this is like a bigger thing. You know, that daily reminder. So like I'm big on vision boards. I'm really big on vision boards. My vision board is huge.
Same here.
And so much of it has come true that I didn't even think was possible this year. It's been the most incredible year of my life.
I've mentioned this in a podcast, and you know where I'm heading with this, but since you're a digital marketer, I think you would like it. My phone is my digital board, basically. So like there's some stuff right now, but I have
you've essentially got your vision board there.
So every morning, you know, it's right there, and before I open my phone to start my day, that's the first thing that I go over. But
mine's in my bathroom. It's big.
I think I talked to my wife about it once, and I've never made one, but I definitely should probably.
Dude, that's Dan's homework.
There you go.
Okay, you start a mastermind.
I'm going to start a mastermind. You're going to make a vision board.
I'll be holding him accountable.
I'm going to buy all these magazines on my way home. I'm just like cutting out pictures.
No, but you know what? It's the craziest thing is when you see the image that you have on that board, like come to life. And then you realize, like, a few times.
I didn't think that was going to happen this year. Like I wanted it, but then it did happen. We actually implemented it here at the office. We got some cork boards, and everybody put like their vision board together, and they're in the office.
It's amazing. What kind of job like does that? Like,
right, you're gonna love this because so she and I went and grabbed coffee a couple weeks ago, maybe a week ago, and we started talking about like, the universe.
Oh wow!
Yes.
Which is kind of cool because it's like our backdrop is like
there,
galactic.
Yes.
But you know, so we I don't know. I feel like almost every episode it comes on. You know, we talk about the law of attraction, like you know, and then now with us being on the topic of vision boards, like how important is it for people just to manifest their reality?
It's everything.
And it seems like it's been a big part of your success.
Absolutely, and I think yoga is a huge part of that for me. Like that time to like clear your mind and that's when new things start coming to you. So when I was working downtown, I did yoga over my lunch hour every day at noon, and I don't think I would have been able to like take the leap without it, you know? And I read a lot of stuff about mindset and, you know, doing positive affirmations and having like that list of goals that you see all the time. It's everything. Like I would say, this is physically impossible had I not said I can do it. You know, and it's not about like doing it perfect. It's about showing up every day, showing up the day after something terrible happened, you know, and working even harder. It's all about like, it's not an if, it's a I will, you know, and like having those positive affirmations of like, today I will, whatever that is that you're trying to do.
Do you ever talk to yourself?
Yeah.
You do that too?
Yeah. Well, and I really truly believe like, I mean, if you say like, the right people come to me at the right time and I will have I have the resources I need, you know, and you believe you have those resources, like just when you least expect it, when you really think you're down and out, like it's not going to happen, like something will change and that universe just delivers.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Along those lines for me personally, a lot of times, like if I'm going through a tough time, I think I might've mentioned this before. If I'm going through a tough time, I'm always like, okay, nothing lasts forever. So this isn't going to last forever. It'll end at some point.
It's temporary.
And then when I'm going through really great times, I'm like, okay, enjoy it because nothing lasts forever. And I think like having that mindset where everything is temporary, it always kind of keeps you grounded, I guess is the best word I can use for it.
That was why Julia was like, just enjoy it. Like, remember all those other days? Like that it wasn't fun, you know, and that you're stressed or you're worried or whatever. It's like, just enjoy this one week. It's going to be great. And it'll make that hard week a lot easier. And we just had a really hard week around here, you know, and I had to really dig deep. I learned a big lesson with my team with communication, and we kind of had a breakdown in communication around here and some transition, some turnover, and it's been really eye-opening, and I had to take a look at myself and like, where did I go wrong in this? What can I do better next time? And like
extreme ownership.
I owned it right over there. There was a couple tears too. And I mean, I genuinely, you know, felt bad that I had dropped the ball on communication. And so we brought in my good friend Sarah Reyes came in and she did a workshop for us and kind of opened up that topic of conversation.
That's so awesome. Like how many bosses would do that? You know, so many people would just be like, I'm the boss, too bad, deal with it. Like, you know, you're just like humble about it. And
no, I was like, I can't believe this happened. What can I do to fix this? Like,
that's great.
Yeah.
I love like the leadership tidbits that we get out of everyone that we talk to. I mean, I think last week we had Matt Taylor on, like I was telling you, and he was like throwing out these nuggets on leadership, and like with what you're just talking about, I'm just like, I just feel like I can write a book with all this stuff somewhere down the road. Maybe I'll write a book too.
There you go.
No, it hasn't really been a goal of mine.
It's on the homework list.
There you go.
No, he's gonna make an Outlook reminder, and it's gonna say, "I will write a book."
There you go. That sounds great.
Yeah. You're already doing it.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for it. Like I said, it's just 10 chapters. It was more like, let me get to it. And I wish I could give more detail. And because what I want to do is probably do a whole episode about it, you know, once
I mean, we could do a breakdown. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. And hopefully once it's out, I'll
because
get
then you can
a
kind
copy.
of get the rest of the story.
Yeah, for sure. Because I guess I showed you the cover, but I didn't even explain to you like the idea behind it.
I know the title.
Explanatory.
Yeah. So
I'm sworn to
excited.
secrecy.
There you go. The last question that I have before we move into the end of the show, if let's say there's X person right now, they've never done anything, social media, no marketing, and they want to get out there, what are like 3 things that you would tell them right now? And if they can go viral, that would be amazing too.
Yeah. I mean, I know I've kind of said this already, but claiming your Google My Business page, I think a lot of people think that Google is all knowing and that they'll just know you own this business, but they don't. So that's one thing. And then whatever platform you pick, be consistent on it. And I think third thing would be try new platforms as they come out. So we're going to be, you know, like Clubhouse is one that, you know, was a recent one that people...
Is it the audio one? Like it's just audio? I don't understand the concept of it, but my wife was talking about it, but I'm sure it's going to be huge.
See, the early adopters are the ones that are winning. So always with technology, the early adopters will win.
So how do you like figure out what's coming? Because I feel like there's so many apps out there.
Yeah.
Like, how do you figure out what's going to be the next big one? Or
some of it's luck, but I mean, there's a lot of great information out there even like I'm part of the American Marketing Association here in Lincoln, and they have tons of great resources like on their website. It's just, finding that time, listening to those podcasts,
Yeah. And real quick before we wrap everything up, you mentioned that it's good to stay on one platform, because I had mentioned that to you before, where I'm like, well, I'm kind of leaving Facebook alone, but it's hard because even some, not to like sound like that, but like the Facebook is more like my local, so how do you do that? Because it's tough. Because I'm on like more on Instagram and then my YouTube. Those are like my main two. But then there's the Snap and Facebook. Like, I mean, do I just keep doing both or all of them, or do I just show my story on the Instagram? Like,
Yeah, I think that if
you could send us a bill later for all those questions.
Gonna have.
There you go.
I mean, and these are just my opinions.
No, yeah,
really.
No.
When
your humble opinions.
Yeah. It's probably best to, if you're gonna stop with the platform, just stop it and delete it probably.
Okay.
But it is out there historically. I mean, that way you do exist on that platform. I think it's better to, the more the better. I mean, we've all seen the power of social media and how we've been able to like get business from it or get an introduction from it. So the more platforms you can be on that you're relevant to, that your audience is going to be on the platform. I'm, as many times, as often as you can, and just as consistent as you can.
Love it. Dan will go viral here soon with the.
I'm gonna do it. I just gotta find something to make me.
There
famous.
you go, public figure here. All right. Well, I hate to wrap things up, but we have to. I have a few questions that I ask every guest at the end of the show, and so the first one is, if you had to give your younger self some advice, what would that advice be right now?
Yeah, I think it would be do this and do it sooner, like start building that network of people. If your network is your net worth, like I didn't have much net worth before starting to grow my company. So, even in college, like joining organizations and getting out there and introducing yourself to people and making a big network, I think that'll get you a lot of places in life. I mean, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
So I'm a big proponent of that.
I love that. Love it. And if there was a 3-step formula to success, what are the 3 steps?
Faith, honesty, and growth, I think.
Love that. And the last question that I have is, if you were to write a book, what would be the theme and title?
It would definitely be about like personal growth and business development. I mean, that's the only kind of books I read, and I've gotten so much value out of books like that. But
I'm amazed that you haven't read Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's
I know.
crazy.
I'm just
like,
in the
with all
middle
the stuff
of
you've
it.
done. So I'm glad you're
you're
grabbing that one.
These are like exactly the kind of books. The ones that you guys talk about all the time are the ones that I read too.
So what's your favorite, would you say?
Well, I always tell people to read Shoe Dog. It's an awesome book about story of Phil Knight creating Nike. And you just think Nike is like always been all powerful, but they haven't. He was hawking shoes out of the back of his car. So, if he can make it, anyone can make it, right?
Yeah. No,
that's a great book. And then I also, the other one that I read a lot, I read it over, is E-Myth. And I just feel like as my company changes and we go through transitions, oh man, there's like something that I learn every time from it. It's pretty complex, I think.
Yeah.
That book.
I think we had that as a book of the week. Yeah. That's a good one.
But you should read it again, because you'll be surprised at what it means to you now.
Yeah. And it's crazy how many of these books do that too. Like where you read it
you
again
can't.
and you're like, whoa, how did I miss that? And I think it's that growth too, where the more you grow, the more you understand what they're talking about.
Right. Yeah, and it depends on the stage.
Like I would love to have my book kind of incorporate some of those big parts of each one of these topics that we've talked about. Like mindset's huge, you know, like taking care of your physical self is huge, you know, like studying ancient philosophy, I think, is huge. Like, because history repeats itself. There's a lot that we can learn from history too. So
love it.
Yeah.
And to wrap up the show, Dan.
Yeah. So I like to ask if there's anyone out in our audience that can bring anything of value to you right now, whether it be resources or people they know or whatever. Like, what's something that you're looking for right now?
I love meeting entrepreneurs. Really not in it to like gain anything out of it. I really do love, like you asked me, hey, can we go to coffee? I saw, you had this sports
Creepy
thing.
Dan.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, like I will say yes. So, if there's someone out there that's like got an idea or they just want, to meet somebody that's started a company or anything like that. Honestly, I love having those meetings. And so, are you guys gonna put my contact info on?
Oh yeah.
We actually
that
gonna
was the
ask.
next one.
Like if someone
no, we will not. Okay, we're just not.
How could people find out more about you if they want to reach out to you?
Yeah, I mean, you guys can email me at renee@go-tnt.com, or you can call the office here at True North Technologies. Obviously, you can reach out to us on any of our social.
Yeah.
So
what's your
follow us, like us.
What's your social medias?
What is it? What are they called? I can't think of the term right now, but
my hashtag?
No, is it a hashtag? I forget what it's called. Your whatever, yeah.
Oh, my ad. I don't even know.
The marketing guru here doesn't know. So just Google it.
Just Google.
We'll find them and we'll put them on the bottom of the show.
People that do that.
The Henry Ford of marketing.
I was gonna say, I love that. That was an amazing response right there.
No, that's good. Yeah,
we'll end the show with that because that's amazing. Everybody out there, checking out our podcast.
Hey, what's our stuff at Instagram?
I was about to get there. Make sure you guys. See, now you're throwing me off. If you want to, I'm going to start calling you CD. It just came to me.
CD?
Creepy Dan. I don't know.
I'll go for it. That's all right.
Follow
you wouldn't be the first.
I'm just playing. But yeah, make sure you guys follow us at the Minority Report Podcast on Instagram. And then subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Minority Report Podcast. And let's get it, baby. Vamonos.
My hand to please don't segregate. Dressed in a suit, I can't relate. Minority Report, can't ignore being rich from poor and your credit score. My hand to please don't segregate. Dressed in a suit, I can't